This conference will now be recorded.
So I would like to give us 2 minutes to get organized and let these. Good evening.
Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. We haven't officially called it to order because we're waiting, hopefully, the associate member who will be logging.
So this is the June.
There's 2 sets of meeting
Oh,
minutes
okay.
that we didn't do. Sorry, that's why I was sending more around. So there's a June 4th set. All right. We'll let Louise join when she comes in. I'm going to call the October 1st meeting of the Agricultural Commission to order. I think our first order of business was to review and approve the meeting minutes from June 4th and September 3rd.
So then, as an associate member, getting this straight, I vote or no,
You don't.
unless you don't have a quorum.
Even if we don't have a quorum, you
The
can't
associate
vote.
members don't vote.
Don't vote. Right. That is, I think did the planning board used to have alternates? Some boards had, or I've seen in other communities, that have alternates versus associate members. I think that was the one thing that we were gonna try to send a message out. Is there any way they could be, associates could be alternates instead? In the event of not having a quorum, could they then be a voting
Yeah,
member?
I don't know.
And I forget if it was planning board, but I know some other communities, planning boards and conservation commissions had alternates for that particular reason. So
Who are the other voting members? Lori and who else?
it's just Lori and Tom.
Tom, right?
Yeah. So I knew Lori wasn't going to be here. She's at some national dog show. And I didn't know Tom was going to be here. He may just be late.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You have an open seat.
We have an open associate member seat. We don't have an open voting member seat.
Okay.
Yes, and we would like to fill it. So, does anybody have comments, including the associate members on the meeting minutes?
I have a question about what's the bylaw edition?
So we talked last month about making a bylaw, an addition to the town bylaws to handle animal disposal. That was the animal disposal.
Okay.
Would you like me to add that note to this? Which line do you want?
The last
gonna ask you.
paragraph. It's just not very clear. Yeah, it should say animal disposal.
Yes. Bylaw addition, I'm going to. Right, I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the June 4th meeting minutes. Are you already through those? I was just gonna do it.
I wasn't there, so sure, I'll approve.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved, June 4th. On September 3rd, I will entertain a motion that the minutes are approved with the addition of adding animal disposal to the bylaw addition for clarification.
So moved, seconded, thirded. Yeah,
We get the trick.
I approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any of those so moved and or, what was the other term he used? There were 2 terms there. Someone has to make the motion, someone has to second the motion. But saying so moved is making a motion if someone else reads the motion, just for Robert's rules purposes. Okay, so those are the meeting minutes. Could I ask if one person would at least take some notes and then give them to me at the end of the meeting, and I'll add them to my notes and make the minutes for next month, since Lori is not present. I would not ask her to watch this stunning
Riveting.
and riveting YouTube video or wherever it goes,
Yeah.
in order to make the meeting minutes. Or maybe I'll at least hand her something, so if anybody would volunteer for that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay. Second item,
Can I ask you a question about the minutes?
Yes.
It says that Eric will reach out to Tammy concerning the next update in the Belchertown Farm Guide.
on June 4th,
Yeah.
we forgot to mention that in September. I never reached out to you in the summer, and the farm guide has been updated, right?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't
Should
know.
we add that as new business?
Sure.
I'm happy taking things out of order. I'm on other committees where they get not appreciative of going out of order, but this one's pretty simple. So the question is, are we updating the farm guide again this year? Maud was hired,
Yeah, is she still around?
Her last day is the 14th, the
okay,
end of her contract.
so she did not update the farm guide.
What would she have updated it with?
Don't ask me, I didn't see any emails, because I got emails about the year prior for information. Were you in the farm guide, Steve? Did you ever get an email? Yeah, probably last year,
Last
year and a half ago or something, yeah, okay. So it hasn't been updated, so, all right, if anybody hears anything different, I will close that item for now, until we have further information that it's being updated.
I mean, should we keep that like on our radar of like handing it out and making sure people have it and like we spent all that time making it?
I mean, my biggest concern is that it's electronically linked to all the appropriate places,
It is, but also having,
and the maximum number of places, or the most
Right,
appropriate number of
totally,
places.
right.
Like, we don't have an official Belchertown Ag Commission Facebook page right now. Remember, it's
Right.
Lori's unofficial, and she's supposed to work with Kate to get it converted. And then more of us are supposed to be able to get access so that when we broadcast the event or other happenings, it'll be on there. So
Is there a print version of it? Yeah, there's a.
there is a print version. There's copies up on the desk in front of the clerk's office upstairs.
Okay,
So,
I'm just wondering if we should, like as part of our work, like getting it out to the public.
yeah, I think it is
In a
part of our work.
meeting or
Let's
something.
look for
Yeah,
opportunity
For sure.
to do that. Okay, Lamson Brook Farm Board update.
Oh, yeah.
Tammy.
That's me. Okay, I wrote some stuff. Lamson Brook Farm has been a continuous agricultural production since the 1800s. In the 1980s, the New England Small Farm Institute began leasing it and using it as a site for agricultural training and demonstration. Over the years, Nesby, along with state and local leaders, worked diligently to secure permanent protection for the property. However, during that process, the Hassan-Misko Nipmuc, the indigenous people with ancestral ties to the land, were not included in planning or decision-making regarding its future. In 2021, Chapter 355 of the Acts of 2020 was enacted, establishing a legal framework for the permanent protection of Lamson Brook Farm and for continuing its intended uses, including conservation, farming, and recreation. Sadly, shortly before the legislation passed, Judy Gillen, executive director of NESFI and the bill's primary advocate, passed away. So the purpose and the scope of the legislation is to secure the long-term stewardship of Lamson Brook Farm, which is a 420-acre property. The land is divided into 5 distinct parcels, which is the forest parcel, which is 240 acres, the commercial farm parcel, which is 120 acres, and that is going to MDAR, which is the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources. There's the community farm area, which is 44 acres, the enterprise zone, which is 10 acres, and the historic Jepson farmstead, which is 8 acres, which is going to Nestle. So 2 of those properties have already been assigned to new owners.
Say that again, the MDAR is one of the assigned, and the Jefferson Brook is one of the assigned?
Yeah.
And the enterprise zone and the forest land are not.
And the community farm.
So that's 6. That's 6? No, that's 5. Sorry, yeah.
So in the legislation, it says whoever, like if you, it's supposed to go to a nonprofit, the nonprofit that applies for the forest with the community farm takes priority, rather than separating those two, so that there would be. To oversee the property, the Lamson Brook Farm Board of Directors was established as a public entity of the Commonwealth. The board consists of 6 members, 3 from the state, 3 from the town. The town is represented by the EDIC, the AgCom, and the CONCOM. The state reps are from the Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR, MDAR, and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, EEA. The board was tasked with developing a survey plan to define the property's 5 parcels and a 10-year management plan, both of which were completed in 2022 with substantial community input. These plans received final approval by the Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance in 2025. So DCAM owns the property and is in charge of, they need to transfer the property out.
So is the short-term management plan just until all parcels are sold?
It's a 10-year management plan. A major point of contention has been whether amendments to Chapter 355 are needed to authorize land transfers or revise governance arrangements. Disagreements between legislators and DCAM over the issue have resulted in years of delay. In response, the Belchertown Nipmuc Farm Conservation Alliance introduced new legislation earlier this year. The bill proposes the conveyance of the property to the Nipmuc people on less fee, aiming to recognize Indigenous stewardship and move the project forward. At our most recent meeting, the Lamson Brook Farm Board drafted a letter to DCAM and our legislative delegation requesting a joint meeting to discuss pathways for advancing this project. A similar request was made in 2023, which unfortunately did not result in legislative participation. Jake Oliver's staff is still insisting that DCAM is the problem and suggested reaching out to the governor's office since DCAM works under the governor. So that's where we're at.
And there was a meeting on September
16th,
16th, and any specific action
which is what I just said.
that's.
We wrote a letter asking for a joint meeting, and Jake's office doesn't want to meet.
It's sort of at a standstill until there's political pressure to move the legal.
I
Heard of
I
somebody
don't-
that needs to accept the legal language.
So his office is saying that their counsel has said that the legislation is fine.
Hold on,
And
say back to, who says the legal language?
the Senate council has said that the legislation is fine as it is.
Okay,
DCAM has asked for a written legal decision, and we have not gotten.
well, who said that the language was not
DCAM.
unacceptable?
DCAM. And apparently it's like DCAM is, what I'm hearing is that DCAM is often causing problems with transferring properties, but this is like extra special complicated. So our legislators are like, DCAM needs to step in and put things.
And DAR is not involved in this original transaction.
DAR.
MDR.
Yeah.
Is not involved in the initial transference of the land. They're only involved in that they will receive ownership of some commercial pieces that they are then gonna be responsible for leasing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask a couple more questions. if you don't-
I'm better with questions than answers, so.
Do you know why MDR is getting the commercial pieces of property? Like why they felt either Belchertown or some other management, like why did the state feel like a state agency needs to be the leasee of the most productive arid land that we have available? I mean, okay,
Like I said, I mean, they were part of the conversation for a decade, so.
okay. Next, is there a planned meeting?
No.
So there'll be no Lamson Brook Farm Board meetings until there's been some action.
No,
I mean, is the board meeting again, even if it's in 90 days to
hopefully,
check in?
yeah, I mean, the plan is,
But they didn't say that at the end of the meeting.
no, because we were going to wait to hear from DCAM and the legislators to see when they were available, and we were gonna meet with them.
Okay,
But since that's not going to happen, I'm gonna, hopefully, I'm trying to figure out the best ways to like email openly so that that's all legit, where asking them to send the legal decision, because if they can get a written legal decision, that could move us forward towards request for proposals. Movement that did happen was that the survey plan and the management plan were approved by DCAM. And it took them 2 years to do that, so that just came through. It'll be at the next planning board meeting.
okay. So that's a small step.
It's a pretty big step, I'd say. Because we needed that to happen in order to move forward with the request for proposals.
I'm a little perplexed on why DCAM, if they're selling the property, would care how it's being subdivided.
I don't, it's not DCAM that,
You said they have to approve the property, the survey.
yeah, I don't, it's just, that's part of the legislation.
It might have just been like the boundaries and not like the cutting. It would be as if I bought Steve's
Oh,
property.
yeah, I mean, there
And
was,
Steve said, I want to see what you're doing
It was
with
just
it
the
first. It
boundaries.
was the
Yeah.
outer boundaries. Okay,
Yeah.
so they have very specific requirements.
yeah,
Tyler or Steve? I know Tom would have comments, but he's not here.
I have no comment.
any input?
Yeah, I feel like this is the biggest issue that the Ag Commission has. I feel like it's a community agricultural resource that is desperately trying to keep its self going. And I don't know what to do, but I'm questioning whether or not, there's other politics that need to happen, that whether or not we go to the select board and ask them for ideas on political pressure, if we have to come up with ideas of political pressure, if there's any way that, is getting all the farmers to call the offices of the legislatures and the governor to have them just think about this legal language, which seems like it's 2 hours of two attorneys in a room saying, here's the syntax changes I want to have made, and now you can go ahead and put out your RFP to get people interested in property and then using some of it. I don't know. I just feel like it's slang. It's not flourishing, let me put it that way.
Do you have any idea how this can get, it's been going on for a long time.
How
I
does,
mean, my thought was, before I got that email from Jake, was for us to write a letter as an agricultural commission, asking them to meet in the joint meeting, just like adding and like getting maybe the Concom and the other committees that are on this board to reach out and to say, can we please have a joint meeting? Because we need to talk it out, but like, I don't know, politics, do they talk it out?
Can I make a comment? So, I'm hoping you would sit with me and
Sure.
go through this, because
Absolutely.
half of what you said I didn't totally pick up on, but I will say that we have a legislative meeting with both Jake and Aaron coming up in October, select board, Jake and Aaron coming in, and they have said to us, bring us whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
I'm happy to go to bat for you if I can truly understand
Totally.
the
Totally.
history and
Yeah.
what, because I hear stories here and there that
Sure.
there's stuff going on
Yeah.
down at Nessie and all that. But if you can give me a good understanding, I'm happy to speak up for you.
Okay. That's great, thank you.
Sure.
And the most up-to-date, do you know if Nesby's satisfied with what the proposed lots are for them?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Because an earlier thing, having,
Right.
having the 9 acres on the east side, on the east side of the road, which there was no
So,
growing land on that side, and it was pretty much just the house.
right. So the original legislation said 16 acres, and then it ended up being 8 or 9.
Okay.
And I was like, what's up with that? And I mean, the answer I got was like, oh, it just must have been a mistake in the legislation or something.
Because the one area I think that they're doing well on is the community farm, and they're having some people, rent plots, they're using
Sure,
it,
yeah.
and that's more than the 8 acres that,
That's the community farm.
but the community farm will be up for.
Yeah.
It'll be, anybody, I could submit an RFP to try to take ownership of the
We're a
community farm.
nonprofit.
Okay, I, as a nonprofit,
Sure.
could choose to grow sweet potatoes on all of that acreage and not have parcels available for the community of Belchertown. I guess that's my
In the
question.
management plan, there's pretty,
There's a provision that somewhere there needs to be something like that?
yeah, it's, educational, community,
Okay.
yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in there.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm not.
yeah,
clear on
no, it's
that.
okay. All right. Any additional
Louise,
questions?
do you have any thoughts?
Oh, yeah, Louise is on. Hello, Louise.
Or not? I guess, like, the thing with Jake and Aaron is they just keep saying the same thing, which is, it's fine, it's DCAM. And I don't know how to get past that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they're not engaging in a conversation, like, well, DCAM's saying it's not fine, how do we get together and work this out? I don't know.
If they were to explain their perspective, what would it sound like?
The perspective is that their lawyers are saying that the legislation is fine. My question with that, though, is Jake filed amendments years ago. Why did he do that if it was fine?
Yeah,
So DCAM's issues, like what they need amended is like, there's no real clear language on how to transfer the property. Cause this is like, usually they just transfer the property. But with this, there's a board involved, so it's more convoluted and confused, and I don't know that they've done it this way before. So they're like, we don't know.
So is
I'm not a lawyer.
DCAM waiting for nonprofits to come forward with proposals and then they just don't hear them, or are they?
no, because they're supposed to put out the proposals. The farm board is supposed to be responsible for putting out the proposals when it comes to it. It's shocking to me, because unless DCAM doesn't, they're a big agency and it's stuck, and it's probably the lowest, the smallest potato in the pile. And so no one's paying any attention to it, because if you're a seller, you're protecting yourself a liability, and that's it. If you're trying, or you're just disposing of the property, I'm not what potentially is behind the scenes, unless there's something there for the land that's something else, which would be.
Right.
shocking, but it would be logical why it's being delayed. But I think it's the latter, that they're a huge agency that's historically really slow on everything. And they watch their budgets, and so for legal fees, maybe they ran out of legal fees in this X budget and they waited until the next year. But it seems like it's been going on for years, and it seems like, even though this is really complicated with so many parties, the legal thing is really between two parties. It's between the legislature and DCAM.
Yeah.
And so that shouldn't be years. I can see it being months, but not years of delay, so.
Is there any sort of official deadline that has to be?
Yeah, it was like, we had a year to do all of this.
Yeah, and that's gone.
Well, part of the amendments was to extend it another year.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
And there's something bigger at work.
Nesby's lease has been renewed until 2030. So, I mean, that's good, but also Nesby doesn't have the capacity to fix the buildings that are falling apart and,
Okay. Thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda is a social media page update with Lori, who's being our liaison, and I am going to ask to table that discussion until November. It does say discuss in November, but I did that because Lori was unavailable. 4 is the discussion of Kayla Busey's agricultural education application. So you all saw that Lori drafted an email that I worked on with her, and then I forwarded a copy to the select board and CC Paul Atzma and Kayla, expressing our concerns about limited information about protecting the environment and other issues with the proposed agricultural education that she would like to do on that property. She then responded back, inviting us to see the property, also asking if she could come to the meeting. It actually did continue to ask for support, a letter of support from us. And then it also did direct us to not consider zoning as part of our discussion, which I think, as we discussed last month, yes, our job is to have an opinion on the agricultural merits of this plan. So I would just say we can do 3 things. We can take no action. We can discuss it and then decide to, well, there's a bunch of different options. Decide to ask for more information. We can also decide to officially have no opinion. We can have an opinion in support of the application. And we could also have an opinion that we do not support the application. So. I'm happy to lead a discussion in anybody's stir.
Is this Sunnycrest?
yes.
Okay. It's in I haven't read it. It's in my packet for Monday. I don't know if we're talking about it Monday, but it's on our mail packet.
All right. Well, since I have a hard time not giving people my opinion, I will say I'm very familiar with it. I'm familiar with the lot. I'm familiar with the subdivision. Lori did go to the subdivision and drive around the house and gave me her opinion. I think for clarification purposes, so it's in the notes and on the record, the land use and the size of the lot and why the board talked about zoning was because that reflects whether or not there's adequate enough land to protect the natural environment and provide buffers to other uses and other neighbors so that the community of Belchertown can be protected. We were not giving a legal opinion on whether or not it's zoning, but the zoning, in fact, does have some specifics to it, which again is derived to trying to protect property and saying, over 3 acres you can have certain things, over 1 acre you can automatically have certain things, over 5 acres is pretty much, you can do whatever you want for agricultural purposes, with the exception of pigs needing to be 300 feet from the property line.
Yeah.
So I would say, the 10,000 or 11,000 square foot lot is the issue to me. I will say I didn't take favorably to her language because she used hardship and she used over amendment in her original application, which were both, the Dover Amendment was very much inappropriately used in her original application, and then, telling us not to consider it, but then saying it's a hardship, which gets into the zoning issue of whether we decide it's a hardship or not. So I'm trying to not have an opinion about whether or not I feel that this is a hardship, being that it's a 2-year-old piece of property that someone specifically purchased, and then decided to do some agricultural operation on it, even though it's tiny, when there perhaps were other choices available in the town to suit more suitable locations to have this sort of activity. And I just feel like I did look at the NRCS soils maps. The soils are all extremely tight. Most of it's rock up there. While her management plan was impressive from a technical writing standpoint, I didn't see anything in the application from her about the experience of the people that are both putting together and being responsible for the management plan, because it was also very complicated for such a small operation, and didn't take into consideration, like, okay, what do you then do with the manure, and then what do you then do with the compost, which is some of the issues. So I am certainly not in favor of sending a letter in support. I'm open to sending a letter suggesting that the lot is not applicably sized to be able to support an agricultural operation as discussed, or simply take no action. Either one of those would be fine with me.
My opinion of this is that while it appears as though everything is very well presented, again, in paper or digital form, I didn't visit the site to know, or witness how anything is being actually handled. It seems as though, she has her act together, but supporting something that's a quarter of the size of what the town has found long ago to be acceptable for livestock on property, I think we don't have anything to say about the appeal that she'll make to the zoning board, but I think it's a dangerous precedent to just support something that's that blatantly lacking, And while she may be doing a fine job with the management and keeping the neighbors happy and all that, 10 years from now, you could have somebody do that in, another location where they're right in the middle of town here or something, and they literally have, 10 feet around their house and want to keep it too, and they could call it as like, an unfair practice or something if you've supported it in the past. And like most things with animals, there's very large variances in how people keep them, and what one person finds to be acceptable, another person does not. And, we have these sizes and restrictions in place for a reason. I'm in support of not writing any letter of support at all, and probably would check the do nothing box.
Steve?
My 2 cents, I spent most of my professional career with zoning, subdivision, and ordinance type situations. And this is clearly a self-made hardship.
Yeah.
What hardships that the Board of Appeals are legally bound to look at are those hardships that are created by the topography of the land. For instance, if you wanted to put up a shed in your backyard and there was a steep grade that really permitted or limited when you could not, that's legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the lay of the land, topography of the land, and they would certainly have the option to grant a permit there. But this is a self-made hardship, and just in my opinion, for the Ag Commission to go ahead and support this is setting a precedent, that we can do things that are against the zoning bylaw. I don't think you want to put yourself in that position. And if for some reason there's a neighbor that really doesn't like what's going on here and they appeal, let's say that for some reason and it's happened numerous times before that the Board of Appeals approved it. And some neighbor appealed it. And I think the Ag Commission was foolish.
Mm.
And I really think that this is a non-starter.
I concur, yes.
Okay.
I move to do nothing.
I'll second that.
I will have one discussion item because the neighbors aren't built yet. So when she talks about neighbors,
Sure.
there's only one or two houses up there, the other neighbors are there. The other question that somebody should look into is the fact that that's a cluster development, which means they densified where the houses are, and there's protected land that each of them participate in the ownership of. And that is to help provide a buffer and natural resources to the other neighbors and the other conditions. And I would be very surprised if there weren't conditions as part of that homeowners association to protect themselves of this issue. But in this case, they are asking the town for something, and I think the town is the one who's going to have to step in and look as the future neighbors about what's appropriate up there. And so I'm more for the agricultural, that there's just not enough buffer and the soil itself is not conducive enough to treating the waste that could be generated from the animals. So I will, I'm in agreement. So with that discussion, we'll move the question, all in favor of taking no action, closing the issue?
I'll second
Aye. Okay, the planning, we're going to continue planning for the farmers meeting brief on which we set a date of January 24th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Lawrence Memorial Hall. I started making some notes to encourage additional participation from some other members and to further develop what we're going to do that day. Because I would, obviously we want to get it out. So just from that standpoint, I did reserve the room. So the hall, Lawrence Memorial Hall is reserved. And I did talk to NRCS and they are going to decide who's going to come. I spoke to Rita Thibodeau, who's the assistant state conservationist, and the woman who came last year. We had a woman that came last year and talked about land entitlements. Soraya,
Something like that, yeah, I can't remember.
she's a Belchertown resident, and she offered to come, but I said we wanted to hear more about drought and drought management and climate change, and so they're going to discuss it, and then, but they have it on their schedule, and they're willing to send people out here on a Saturday from 1 to 3, so I asked them 20 minutes to a half hour. I thought we were going to have 2 to 3 presenters, and so those two things are done. I don't know if you reached out to Mill Valley.
I did.
Okay.
Jess is on maternity leave.
Wow.
And
Congratulations for her.
yeah, but I don't think it's gonna last that long. So I think that, I talked to, I didn't realize it was her husband until after I hung up, but I said, it could be Jess or another representative from the office, And I explained, they said, well, what do you want? I said, well, we're looking at, can you identify things, reasons or clients that have come in that might indicate an increase in something, but just, kind of what's going on?
Current topics on farming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have not received confirmation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's good. All right. Anybody think of a third? I know we're going to have a sort of an open forum with the farmers to discuss items they'd like the town to be concerned with or to hear topics that they're concerned about. And I'm going to suggest somebody moderates that. I'm happy to moderate the whole thing, but that portion of it, somebody else can do or I can do. But also, I didn't know if we wanted another technical presentation from them. If anybody has any ideas or hears of some presentation that somebody's doing. I mean, bird flu hasn't come up this year, so that's kind of, or it hasn't been in the highlights. So
Right.
we'll keep, hopefully nothing like that will come up that we need to.
So far we have an NRCS representative
Yes,
doing it,
and we're more than likely.
someone from
Yeah,
the
someone from the-
yeah, just not confirmed.
Did she have the baby?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I think they just lost a vet too, so they're probably
Hmm.
struggling to.
well, I know they have a lot of dog and cat vets
Yeah,
too,
no,
but
the large animal.
The large animal vets are, yeah. And I suppose we could go to Tom Hess or somebody else out of town, but we thought going in town would be better. I don't know if there are any in town
Large
animal,
animal.
large animal. I don't
But
think
we
so.
should exhaust that, and if they can't provide somebody, I'd be happy to reach out to Hess McWilliams and see if they want to send somebody, because they have 4 or 5 vets now that would do that. And they're all large animals.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll leave that one open. I think the largest thing to work on, obviously, coffee and snacks, we can do the week before, or 2 weeks before, but the coordinate getting the word out, I think I would like to talk with Lori next month about that, particularly after she meets with Kate about, getting ads made, and I think we would also need, I don't know, the flavor of the topic, somehow I'm calling it an ad, but it's really an announcement, and Kate just makes it a nice looking announcement. So, I think that's. Louise?
Yes,
It looks like you turned your mic on, so I wanted to ask if you had anything you wanted to add or say so far.
no, but it was your conversation about the land there was good. And I agree with you that about the areas being near other town-owned land or people. The fact that
Great.
it's owned by others. And I agreed to take no action.
Okay, great. Thank you, Louise.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna exhaust the planning for the farm meet and greet.
Just a thought, for this time or another time, CISA might be good to get a rep from them and just indicate the types of workshops and assistance that they provide
Yeah.
for farmers.
Does anybody have any connection or any interaction with either NOFA or CISA?
We're members of CISA, we have been for a long time.
Didn't the executive director just retire?
Yes, I don't know who the new executive director is.
Okay. If you want to forward it to me, I can make a call to CISA. Or I'll look them up if you want me. I'll look up the executive.
Is that
director.
something you would like for this particular year, or you think
I
maybe?
mean, I kind of think if we keep 20 to 30 minutes and have 3, I think having an overall hour and a half to 2 hour meet and greet would be good. And I think if we had enough topics, then we get interest from a few more people. If we got 5 people each that were interested, I mean, we've had attendance at the farmer meet and greet in the 20s the last couple of years, and I think that's a reasonable goal for the farmers, for the amount of farmers in Belchertown. So I would just like to keep that. And I think if CISA has a lot of programs, and it's also advocating for them or providing them resource and knowledge and resources that they're there. So, and I think one of the things we should do is we should probably interface a little bit more with the farmers market, just to make sure we're hitting the farmers that are at the farmers market that are from Belchertown. I know some of them are, or there's a good portion that aren't from Belchertown, but I still think just making sure we have them. When it comes to the list, we've been using a list that's either, it's from the assessor's office, and it's either if we've got an ag business permit, or if there's chapter 61, or if it's APR land. There were a couple of screening things we did to come up with a list of farmers. So that was some social media and listening at the Sentinel were how we got the word out. So I'd like to just make sure we don't miss anybody.
Would you want to reach out to CISA?
I'm sorry?
Would you want to reach out to CISA to see if they're?
Sure, I'd be
I
happy.
think that would be
Okay,
good.
that would be better. Yeah, thank you. And I do know, NOFA does have their ordering, but it's too late in January. And I think they had some free soils tests last year. I think we had UMass here 1 year about doing soil testing. And then CISA does ordering for Fedco and a couple other, both seeds, fertilizer, amendments, and other. They do have a bulk purchasing program, but it's all, orders have to be in, I think, by December, so. Anyhow. Okay, the agricultural disposal bylaw,
Animal disposal.
animal, sorry, I'm disposing of the agriculture, disposing of ourselves. I'm gonna suggest we before I table it to next month's meeting, I would like a couple people maybe I know you did some original research.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have electronic documents that you could at least?
Well, I only have the copies that Lori had come
Yeah,
up with,
Lori
but
had them.
Lori did the research, I
Okay.
think. I mean.
So here's what I'm gonna propose. I get the electronic documents from Lori.
Mhm.
I circulate them to every member of the Agricultural Commission so that at next month's meeting, we can talk more knowledgeably about how we want to push this forward. I know we're all in favor of taking the UMass bylaws. We did talk a little bit more in detail last year about this, about taking their bylaw or their management. I don't know what you want to call their document. It's a guidance document on how to dispose of farm animals on your own property. And so I think we're all in favor of doing that and looking at some other communities' language so that we come up with, and I'm not going to say one page, but a simple document, and that it can refer to other guidance documents if people choose a more sophisticated program like composting versus just burial. So.
So you want to have composting in there as part of the bylaw?
I would like to talk about it with the group knowledgeably, and then we can check that off. It's really hard because we have to think through some of the issues. Like the main issue here that brought this up was protecting the town and giving guidance to the people because of what happened in Sutherland.
Right.
You were at the last meeting. We explained that. So, no, there's no expert in town, and nobody's going to call up the Paul Atzma and say, hey, I got to bury a horse, well, he'll forward it to the Ag Commission, but that might be a little late.
Yeah.
Do we get in there fine where someone can say, here are your options and here's what you should do? So a simplified document would be nice, and so that people know that there are regulations, particularly if it gets in the bylaw, it's referenced back to having an agricultural enterprise. So when people go to get their license and they know that there are regulations, they can see that there is a disposal.
I think I had said I'd go see Doug Elverson, but I bagged that because it sounded like that we wanted to, the commission wanted to maybe just get some general guidelines rather than get another bylaw added.
Well, I think it's got to become a bylaw, but I think I would like to have our ideas about how it should happen, not the mechanics of how the town incorporates it and how it gets applied legally. I think the ideas of, do we like composting, do the animals, are the depths that are there appropriate? I would like to get consensus on all that, but then I think it would be fruitful to see Doug at some point, because it's got to go in front of town meeting, and it's got to go to a few boards for, what do you call that when they, it's not elected support, but it's
Public hearing type thing or what?
yeah, when they make a recommendation, to approve. I think some of the boards have to make a recommendation to approve. So anyway, I think once we get the body of it down, then we can talk about the legal steps to proceed forward. At least that one. That's my thoughts. Any other new business?
Nope.
Okay. Louise, any last words?
Nope, looks, sounds fine.
Okay. Tyler, any chance you would be willing to send me those notes?
Yeah,
Okay, terrific.
I don't know if it'll make much sense to you,
Well,
but
between yours and mine,
yep,
I will make something. So, and if I have to, I'll listen to the YouTube video.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
second.
All in favor?
Want to schedule a meeting?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and then take a minute after it's done.
Want to go for a walk? I would like to do my movie.
Okay.
Or we could do a Zoom.
Okay.
I can do either. This week I'm out, the next week I have a lot of availability.
All right, well, good luck with, well, I can end this, but good luck with, end of season, the chores that are ending.
You
Good luck with those. I know new chores will be starting.